The value of time. On a sunny afternoon, young Jack was sitting outside with his grandfather, who everyone called Grandpa Joe. They lived in a small town. Jack loved spending time with his grandfather, especially during the summer when school was out. Jack was a curious boy, full of energy, and he had big dreams about the future. But like most kids, Jack sometimes wasted time playing or daydreaming, forgetting how precious time really is. One day, Jack asked his grandfather, "Grandpa, why do you always say that time is important? I feel like I have all the time in the world." Grandpa Joe smiled and looked at Jack with his kind eyes. "Jack, I want to tell you a story. It's a story my father told me when I was your age. It helped me understand how valuable time is." Grandpa Joe began the story. "When I was a young boy, I was very much like you, full of energy, always playing and having fun. I had dreams of becoming a great builder, traveling the world, and making my mark on life. But I was also like you in another way. I didn't think much about how I spent my time. I thought I had plenty of it. I used to say, I'll do it tomorrow whenever I had something important to do." One day, my father, your great grandfather, took me for a walk. We went to the big tree at the end of the village, a place where he often liked to sit. As we sat down, he handed me something. It was a small hourglass. I asked, "What's this?" Turning it over in my hands, the sand inside was slowly trickling from the top to the bottom. My father smiled and said, "This hourglass is like your life, William. The sand inside represents time. Every grain of sand is a second, a minute, or an hour of your life. When it falls to the bottom, that time is gone forever and you can't get it back." Jack's eyes widened as he thought about the sand in an hourglass slipping away, never to return. Grandpa Joe continued, "I didn't understand at first. I said, 'But I have lots of time, Dad. Why worry about it now?' He looked at me seriously and said, 'That's the mistake many people make. They think they have so much time that they don't worry about wasting it. But as the sand keeps falling, life keeps moving forward. Before you know it, you are older and you realize you wasted so many opportunities." Jack frowned. "But Grandpa, what if we run out of time? How do we make sure we don't waste it?" Grandpa Joe smiled warmly. "That's the important part, Jack. You can't stop time, but you can decide how to use it. My father told me, use your time wisely. Don't wait for tomorrow to start something important. If you want to learn something new, start today. If you have a dream, work on it today. Every day, do something that brings you closer to your goals." Grandpa Joe leaned in closer and Jack listened carefully. "You see, Jack, it's not about having a lot of time. It's about how we spend the time we have. My father taught me that if you waste too much time, you will regret it later. But if you use your time well, you will feel proud of what you have done." Jack thought for a moment, then asked, "Grandpa, did you ever waste time?" Grandpa Joe smiled softly. Yes, Jack, I did. There were days when I didn't work hard enough, or I let opportunities slip away because I thought I could do it later. But I learned from those mistakes and I tried to make the most of every day after that. That's why I'm telling you this story now, so you don't have to make the same mistakes I did. Jack felt a little nervous now. So, what should I do with my time, Grandpa? Grandpa Joe smiled and said, start small, Jack, every day. Do something useful. If you have homework, do it well. If you want to learn a new skill, start practicing today. If you have a big dream, take small steps toward it every day. Time will keep moving, but if you use it wisely, you will grow stronger, smarter, and happier. Jack slowly understanding what his grandfather was telling him. I think I get it, Grandpa. I'll try to use my time better. Grandpa Joe smiled warmly. That's my boy. Remember, time is your most valuable gift. You can't buy more of it, and you can't get it back once it's gone. But if you make the most of it, you will live a life with fewer regrets and more achievements. As they sat together, the sun began to set, casting a warm golden light across the fields. Jack looked out at the horizon, thinking about all the time ahead of him and how he would use it. From that day on, Jack paid more attention to how he spent his time. He worked harder on his school projects, practiced his hobbies, and started taking small steps toward his dreams. Whenever he felt like wasting time, he remembered his grandfather's story about the hourglass and the sand slipping away. He knew that every moment was a chance to do something great. Moral of the story is time is the most precious thing we have. Use it wisely because once it's gone, you can never get it back. Start today and make the most of every moment.